Just before noon, Fanny's father, George, headed off to play cricket for the church bellringers team in their annual match against the village band team, which was to be held at the Butts, a pleasant area of grassland located to the southwest of the town centre. Once her husband had left, her mother busied herself with her chores, whilst Fanny, her younger sister Lizzie, and Fanny's best friend, neighbour's daughter, 7-year-old Minnie Warner, played happily together. At around 1 in the afternoon, the girls announced that they were going to play in the meadows, and off they went, affording Harriet a little peace and quiet as she went about her chores. Fanny, so the newspapers later reported, was wearing a white pinafore, red wool underskirts, and a brown velvet hat. The children made their way along Tanhouse Lane and passed through the gate at its end onto Flood Meadows. On the far side of the meadows was a sunken section of an old road, which was known as the Hollow, and which ran alongside the hop garden of Amory Farm. The girls often used to play here, but on this Saturday they made their way to the banks of the river, where they began picking flowers. As they did so, they were approached by a young man who was dressed in a black frock coat, light waistcoat and trousers, and who was wearing a tall hat. According to Minnie Warner's inquest testimony, he greeted them with "Halloa," whereas in her trial evidence given in December 1867, she said that his greeting was, "Ah, my little tulips, what are you playing at?" Minnie immediately recognized him as a man whom she and 2 other friends had met in Flood Meadows the previous Saturday, on which occasion he had chatted with them and watched them play together, so she wasn't in the least bit wary as he approached this time. Having put the girls at their ease, the man gave Minnie 2 halfpennies and said that he would give her a third if she and Fanny would race each other to the Hollow. He also gave Fanny and Lizzie a halfpenny each. The girls duly raced off as the man had requested, and having followed them, he joined them in picking berries. A few minutes before 2, Mrs. Eliza White was making her way along the footpath above the Hollow when, looking down, she saw a man with 3 children by its approach. The children were picking berries and flowers, whilst the man, according to Mrs. White's later testimony, was loitering about with his hands in his pockets. He was smoking something dark, but Mrs. White couldn't see whether it was a pipe or a cigar. Eliza was waiting for her own daughter, so she remained watching them for around 15 minutes, at which point the children turned and ran into the Hollow, and the man went after them, after which Eliza saw nothing more of them. Having entered the Hollow, the man picked some more berries for the girls, and then, turning to Lizzie and Minnie, he told them that they should go home and spend their halfpence. He asked Fanny to go with him, promising her another 2 pence if she would do so. Taking her by the hand, he began leading her away from her 2 companions. But then Fanny became reluctant to go any further with him, at which point, according to Minnie Warner, he lifted her up in his arms and carried her up the Hollow and into the hop ground. Minnie heard Fanny cry out that her mother would be calling her and that she wanted to go home, but the man ignored her and continued walking. Neither Minnie nor Lizzie appears to have sensed that Fanny was in any danger, and they hurried off to spend the money the man had given them on sweets. A little after the 2 girls had set off, Eliza White climbed over the stile and made her way across the meadow. When she was about halfway across, she heard a child cry out from the direction of the farthest side of the hop garden. She later stated that it did not seem to be a cry of pain, it was a sound such as a child would raise when caught hold of in play. Eliza didn't know it at the time, but there is every likelihood that she had heard the early stages of the murder of Fanny Adams.